Hello and welcome to the session about the Workbench Editor. In this session I would like to show you this new tool, where to get it and how to work with it. So first of all, we take a look here at the SAP Business One version for SAP HANA 9.1. And here you can see the Fiori style cockpit, and we have added the sales process workbench widget, and also some other widgets like KPIs and pervasive dashboards. So what we want to do in this session is that we want to change this kind of widget, the workbench widget, for the sales process and enhance it also furthermore. So for this we need to download a tool called the Workbench Editor. And this tool can be found in a node. The node number is 2097429. And in this node, you can download at the end the Workbench Editor how-to guide and the Workbench Editor itself. Okay, when downloaded, you can click here on the screw wheel and enter the login details, the credentials. So in this case, I just need to enter the password for the Business One User Manager. So, okay, so we successfully connected now to the server, and now we can use the folder open icon to open a workbench. So in this demonstration, we will focus only on the sales process workbench. And I would recommend you to adjust, based on your screen resolution, a little bit the window. And you can see this is now pretty much the same workbench as we have it in the Business One client. And let's now modify it. So we will remove, for example, the sales quotation, as the customer doesn't need this on the sales workbench. We also will delete the down payment, and we can also remove arrows like this. Just press the delete key. Then we can also add new icons from the left side if they were not in already, or we can create new ones, like I will do now. Right click here on this node and say create entity node. We have now this customized type here, and we will give it a name, and I will call it AR invoice and payment. And now I need to find the form UID. So I will go to Business One. I need to activate the view system information. And then I will go to the modules and then to sales, and then AR invoice and payment. And now you can see in the lower left corner the number 2054. So just take a look here. 2054. So I will enter this now here. 2054. That's mainly it. So I will now just move this here on top of the AR invoice. You can now look at the AR invoice coordinates. It has like and the x-axis 406. So here we can increase it by 6 to have it on the same, let's say, width. And now about the height, just look here at the y-axis. We have 10. Here we have 34. So we will adjust this also to 10. So now this is pretty much on the same level as Stunning Wizard. And what can we do else? For example, the AR invoice. Let's take first a look in the Business One. Has a drop-down menu. So we can open item list and so on. However, if we take a look, for example, to sales order, there's something like my sales order number. And if we click on it, we get a list of the open sales orders. And this is based actually on a count widget as this. So this is a count widget for OpenAI invoices. And we would like to have this kind of information also here. So how do we get this? So if we go here to the query generator and search for OBOI and press the tab key and execute, we can now see the internal numbers, and the AR invoice count widget has the internal number 2. Okay, so if we go now to the Workbench Editor, we can go here to the AR invoice and go to the BO list, and there is none defined. So we can say now add, and add now a business object count with the value -2, and the description will anyhow be overwritten, but we can say my open AR invoices, say OK. And in the last thing I will change is the customer. The customer, we can find it also on the left side for modification. We want to add for the customer also, like on the other Workbench items, we want to add a drop down. There's no drop down here, and we want to have a drop down like this. Yeah. So what we want to have are 3 drop downs. If we look at business partner, we want to have the activity, which is 2563. You can see it in the lower left corner. So we will start with this. So I click on customer, sorry, on the left side, go then to menu this time, click on the browse button and add now activity, and I think it was 2563. Let me just take a look again. Business partner activity 2563. Okay. Next, I want to have a campaign. It's 2707. Campaign 2707. And for the last thing, I would like to have a service call, which is 3587. Service call, then 3587. Okay. So before I will click here this save button and say overwrite my existing workbench, I can recommend you 2 things. Going to HANA Studio, to the catalog, and then to the table OWWT, which is the table of the workbench. So we can have a quick look in it, say open content. So you can see here all 4 different workbench widgets. And I would recommend you to do a backup before changing it. You can do this by a right click and say export, and then say next. Choose a directory on your computer. So maybe on the desktop we create a new folder called Workbench Backup. Okay. And it's important to choose binary here. Binary is more reliable, and say finish. And now we have done a backup. You could also do a full schema backup, but I think for just this case it's sufficient that you just back up this database table. And now we can overwrite it by clicking on the Save button in the Workbench Editor. And if we now go to Business One and click here on Refresh, the new modified workbench will be shown. So we can see now that we have deleted the down payment and so on, but we have now here AR invoice and payment, and if I click on it, it will open. So I can directly do the one-time customer direct cash in sales. So maybe this is important for this company. And then what we have done also is adding to the AI invoice the open AI invoice count widget. You can also click on it. Okay. And the last thing I added is the customer. I added a drop down. So here we have now activity, campaign, and service call. All right. And if you somehow did something wrong or you want to get back to the standard SAP template, we have done a backup. And we just right click the OWWT table. If you don't see it, by the way, in this list, because you only can see the top 1000 items, go to Windows Preferences, type in catalog, and click here on Fetch all database catalog objects. Otherwise, you will not see the OWWT table, as this is after 1000. So then we do a right click and say import and choose the destination on our computer. So we have here the Workbench backup. Say next. Okay, next. And now this is important. We need to replace the existing catalog in our HANA database. Say finish. And if I go now back to Business One and I say refresh, then we have back the old Workbench. Okay, so that's it for now. With this, I would like to say thank you for watching this session and bye-bye.